Chapter 46 The Starship Eventide Volunteer. Trig was very happy to leave the planet Bayou 4 behind and travel to the possibly illegal starport near the outer limits of the system. Here at Précis Station, a gargantuan vessel was under construction. As the corporate shuttlecraft approached, Trig pressed his face to the window and got a very good look at the Eventide Volunteer. The vessel was an ice hauler, designed to harvest highly valuable water from ice deposits in deep space and then transport it to colonies, habitats, and space stations. The Eventide Volunteer was shaped like a cylinder and had a vast, cavernous opening in her bow, which led into a hollow cargo bay that made up the majority of the ship's interior. Trig could not help but think Eventide Volunteer bore a strong resemblance to a filter-feeding ocean creature. Once the shuttle docked with Précis Station, a Sutherian man came aboard and asked to speak with Ponico and Hanakon. The mercenary vessel Resonance Cascade has just entered the system. Give them permission to dock inside the Volunteer's cargo bay, Hanakon replied. Refuel the Cascade and give them provisions. What about weapons? Ponico asked. We spent some of our torpedoes and sea-whiz ammo before we got here. I can't help you there, Hanakon replied. Your tactical officer showed me how much money you have to spend on this op. Trust me, you can barely afford the mercenaries I'm throwing in with the ship. Besides, I like the boy's idea. It seems like something his father would have come up with. Hanakon cast a look at Trig, his expression mixed with a little curiosity. Trig, Ponico, Rulon, and Hanakon moved through the station and boarded the Eventide Volunteer. A Nagyari man dressed in power armor greeted them in the airlock. For the second time, Trig was startled by how much the Nagyari looked like paler, watered-down versions of Olenbar. Again, he wondered if there was evolutionary history between the two species. I am Commander Mikab, the Nagyari man said, team leader of your shipboard security detail, provided by Vigilo Security. I take it you are our new employers? Yes, Ponico said. My name is Trura Ponico, formerly of the Chosen of the Great Khan. This is Sudvan Rulon, tactical officer of the warship Resonance Cascade, and this is Trig Shepminter, our HVI. Rulon cut to the chase. Commander, do your men have any experience with VBSS tactics? VBSS? Trig repeated. Visit, board, search, and seizure, Ponico explained. Military tactics for boarding a hostile starship. Commander Mikab scratched his chin in thought, then said, We have no combat experience to speak of. We once boarded a merchant, about a year after the Nagyari Wars ended, as part of a rescue mission. Trig blinked, trying to sweep away the sense of déjà vu. Commander Mikab scratched his chin in thought, then said, My crew is experienced. We boarded and took over a Nagyari corvette during those chaotic days after the Battle of Lightwater. We know our way around. Are you planning to hijack someone? Best let me explain, Rulon said, leading Commander Mikab away. The Resonance Cascade flew inside the Eventide Volunteer's cavernous cargo bay and docked. The rest of the R4 mercenaries came aboard. Appia and Kara were dressed in combat flight suits, but carried themselves in a distinctly non-military way that made them stand out. I once saw an ice hauler like this when I was a kid, Kara said, looking around. I forgot they could get so big. Hanakon, Ponico, Rulon, and Mikab gathered the crew for a crucial meeting. Everyone, this is a high-risk mission, Ponico began. We are already going to be making enemies out of the Nagyari, but if we follow the boy's plan, we'll run the risk of making an enemy out of MSI as well. It's a risk, not a guarantee, Rulon said. Speed and stealth will be crucial here. If either of our civilian passengers want to part ways, now is the time, Ponoko said. After this point, we are going to be heading into battle. We expect 2 space actions at a minimum, possibly 3. Trig looked at his mother. You should go. We can come back for you for the final journey to the necropolis. Kara shook her head. The galaxy is smaller than you think, she said. I feel I would be safest on the Resonance Cascade. We would be safer with you. Kara put her arm around Appia's shoulder. The Olenbar girl nodded, trying to put on a brave face. The civilian crew was dismissed and replaced by a number of Nagyari men, all members of Hanakon's criminal syndicate. With a deep rumbling of engines, the icy hauler was released from Precy's station and began to fly under her own power. On the bridge, Trig was caught by surprise when he was presented with a change of clothes by one of Hanakon's loyal retainers. A uniform fit for your rank, Hanakon explained. If you really are the son of my old master, you will soon have the chance to prove yourself. Trig reluctantly accepted, attempting to bury all thought of Hanakon's keystone shard for now. Later, Trig told himself. Later. There is a place on the starship Kaldorix once reserved for the Great Khan's enemies. It was meant for those whose mental willpower was strong enough to overcome telepathic influence or manipulation. When domination of the mind was impossible, domination of the body would suffice. Alex and Avitus had not seen this chamber in over 13 years, and Avitus smiled as he remembered its simple construction. Normally, a single artificial gravity generator was sufficient to provide the comforts of gravity to anyone aboard the Kaldorix. But this chamber was special, and its true nature was revealed by a gentle humming sound emitting from below. There was a second artificial gravity generator located just beneath the floor. There were only 2 pieces of furniture in this room. A large metal slab raised just 1 meter off the floor, long and wide enough for a grown man to lie on his back. Then, on a nearby wall, there were 2 metal hooks. They were spaced apart to suspend a person off the floor by their arms, and just high enough above the floor that a grown man would have to stand on tiptoe to reach them. Alex turned to face one of the crewmen standing in the doorway. He stuck his thumb out, pointing at the 2 hooks on the wall, and said, "The 2 children are roughly the same height. Lower the hooks to the girl's level and await further orders." Avitus admired the metal slab, thinking back to the time when it was used to inflict unspeakable horrors. "My telepaths have assessed the girl, as have yours," Avitus said. "Her willpower is weak. She will bend before we get to this point." Avitus rapped his knuckles on one of the hooks. "I've told you before, there is an intangible connection between Shepminter and Honora," Alex said. "A connection we can exploit when the time comes."